I just want to say thanks so much to all of you for watching my videos, for sharing them, for commenting on them, for the compliments and constructive criticism. It's all made the content, both from a technical and kind of thematic and ideological side, so much better. As you know, this channel, just short of 3 months old, has hit 1,000 subscribers, and I really think it's just starting to take off. And I'm glad you guys, those of you especially who have been watching since the beginning or near the beginning, have been here to support me, and I'm certainly appreciative of it. I just want to kind of talk a bit about what's going to happen with the future of the channel, and then talk a bit about some of the content I want to cover as well. So as you can see, I have a bit of a different setup. For those who don't know, I live in a fairly small house in Kingston, Ontario, and we don't have too many recording options, and that was further hampered by the fact that my wife and I had a recent baby, and we were doing renos, and one of the goals of those renos was to set up a new office space, and you can see it behind me right here. And I feel it's a better recording locale. The background maybe isn't the fanciest, compared to some bigger YouTubers, but it captures, I think, my style, which is to be, informal yet professional, showcasing some of the many books I have here that, cover my scholarly interests in history and in politics and what have you. So I hope that this setup really makes things a little bit easier for you guys to enjoy. Makes it less distracting. I know a lot of people noted that one of the limitations of my original recording space was the background, so I do hope this is at least a partial improvement. And of course, as the channel continues to grow, I'll continue to explore options around improving things like, my setting and my equipment and what have you. In terms of content, there won't be any big changes. I'm looking to do really an assortment of things. I know YouTube tends to encourage specialization, and this channel is no exception. We're going to have a clear focus on left politics, but it won't be so hyper-specialized that the videos will be aimed at, covering the same thing over and over and over again. So with that in mind, you're going to see a lot of focus, perhaps the most focus, on Canadian politics with my personal left perspective, because that's where the majority of my viewership comes from, so far at least, is from Canada, and because that's where I have the greatest amount of expertise, both as a scholar and as a media commentator with the CBC and CTV and print media. But you'll also see me cover American politics. You'll see me talk a lot about Bernie Sanders still. You might see me talk about things happening in Britain around Jeremy Corbyn. And you'll also see the occasional videos where I talk a bit about pop culture or things like that. I made that video on Frank Grimes, which has been one of my more successful videos, talking about how, Frank Grimes, his experience, at least partially, typifies the millennial challenges, that we see. This hardworking guy seems to work for nothing, or work for it all but get nothing, and he sees the older boomer stand-in for Homer really get something despite not necessarily working the hardest for it. And I explore some of the tensions there and how Frank Grimes has right to be mad, but how his grievances are misplaced. Those are videos you can expect to see. I still haven't done my first video game topic yet. I play a lot of video games, a long-time gamer. I do want to talk about video games every now and then, but I want to find the right topic at the right time to do so. Look at me to continue to cover the alt-right. It's not something that I'm strictly an expert in in terms of my scholarship. But covering the alt-right, I think, is extremely important for a few reasons. One, they're dangerous, and they need to be called out. Two, I think that young white men, especially, like myself, have a kind of responsibility to speak up against this hateful kind of discourse online in spaces like YouTube, where it's extremely popular, and that we sort of have a role to play in speaking to one another, because of course the majority of these hateful views are coming from young white men and are often being aimed at young white men. So I think that's really important we take up that space. And third, related to that, is that YouTube is a hive of of reaction. It's a hive of hatred and misogyny and racism and conspiracy. And I think that we need to collectively, not just myself, but any of you who feel passionate about an issue and have a progressive voice, to take up space, to build a community, and do something about it. I think that's really important. And I know not everyone has the ability or the means or the safety or the comfort to do what I'm doing, but if you feel like you can chip in a little bit and do something, I really encourage it. 100% encourage it. So that's basically the state of the channel. Bit more of a professional setup. Look for me to cover similar content as I've been doing, but of course always with the potential to branch out in slightly different directions. And look for me to try to do my best to help shift YouTube. We already know that the system seems to be designed, not in any sort of conspiratorial sense, but seems to be pulling people in towards alt-right, white nationalist, white supremacist, whatever you want to call them, viewpoints. And we have to do something to turn that tide. And all we can do is take up space on this platform. I'm not the only one, the only progressive who if you go to their videos will often be followed by ones by Ben Shapiro in the suggested tab. Now, you guys know that my videos are in no way similar to Ben Shapiro's. Certainly not in our viewpoint and our ideology and those sorts of things, but the system draws people that way. And I feel like if more progressives made videos, we might tiptoe our way towards a better arrangement. So just one final thing here before we close out. I'm going to be doing a kind of question and answer video at some point in the future, depending on the interest this raises. So if you do have any questions you want to ask me about the channel or about Canadian politics or my perspective on any of the number of issues I've covered on the channel, maybe you have some ideas for future videos, I'd love for you to share them. Please do so in the comments. I'll likely do a kind of follow-up video where I talk about those things coming forward. So guys, thanks so much for watching. If this is your first video, a bit weird, go watch some of my formal content videos. They're a lot more interesting than this one. But if this is your first video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to share this with your friends, especially if they have some of the same interests that you do. And even if they don't, let's try to change some minds. And I'll see you guys next time.